Short-term rentals have become increasingly popular over the past decade because they're offering alternative accommodation to traditional hotels and bed and breakfasts. There's a variety of platforms showcasing the availabilities for these types of accommodations. Some of them are more well-known than others, but certainly this is a space where more and more of these platforms are propping up. There are a variety of reasons that some people prefer these types of stays over a hotel. Sometimes it's for greater flexibility. Sometimes it's to have the experience of staying in a home rather than a hotel room. And sometimes it's simply because the cost can be cheaper. However, the growth of these types of accommodation has also led to some challenges in recent years, particularly in bigger cities where STRs can put pressure on housing availability and affordability.
We see indeed that short-term rentals, they are an integral part of the tourism accommodation sector by now. 25% is already, of all tourism accommodation is offered through short-term rentals, and there has been an exponential increase. And indeed, as you say, we see many benefits here of this new development, but also some challenges. Okay? One of the main challenges is indeed challenges related to transparency. Who is renting out what, where, for how long? That is a question that cities find very difficult to resolve. A hotel, you see immediately, short-term rental, much more difficult to identify. So lack of transparency is a big issue, notably for cities' local authorities. At the same time, we see also increasing frustration in the other parts of the sector when it comes to all the kinds of fragmented data sharing requests. Obligations to register, but then also obligations to share data, especially on platforms who have come to us and complain about the fact that, it's fine to share data, but please can we have rules about that? Because otherwise there are all kinds of difficult issues to be dealing with.
First of all, we have different stakeholders in the tourism sector. So there are the customers and consumers, which will definitely benefit from this, even when it comes to having their mind more rest assured when it comes to security, when it comes to ensuring legal listings, some things which was already mentioned and also worked upon in the DSA, but with this tool it will also be positively developed. But when it comes also to host and traditional accommodation providers, it's important for them that there'll be this registration, this data, which could help eventually not only ensuring a level playing field when it comes to complying with the rules already in force, when it comes to paying the taxes, when it comes to offering a good service when it comes to the tourism field.
Because we had worked with the stakeholders in order to make a light touch legislative in national level. It is, instead of licensing, it's just a registration number with the platforms and with the economic operators, the hosts and the consumers. The registration number is mandatory for the platforms. When I have to upload an ad of an apartment of something, I'm going to the platform and I start inscribing my apartment, and it's mandatory, the registration number in Portugal. And it took, I'm not an IT guy, and I tried, I'm a bureaucratic guy, so but I tried to put the hands on the ground, and it took 8 minutes to register. So it is not a burden to invest 8 minutes to get a register number.
Clearly, we believe that with the additional transparency it will provide, this regulation will be very positive for all players. And let me be clear, we fully acknowledge that in certain cities, this STR exponential growth has caused some issues regarding housing affordability, regarding cohesion on local communities. Clearly, it has happened, and it's fully legitimate for local authorities to try to regulate this phenomenon in an adequate way to address the concerns of their constituents. So this is absolutely normal. And EU law is not telling them in any way they cannot do it. It just tells them they can do it when there is an overriding reason of public interest in a proportionate and non-discriminatory manner.
Amaryllis, you rightly mentioned that this is not addressing market access, that this is about data sharing, and that certainly when it comes to how to treat different players in this market, you're getting into taxation issues, you're getting into subsidiarity issues. But tell us, we've heard kind of vaguely that this is a first step in this space, and that once you had a better handle on the data in the space, it might be possible to make further regulation. Could you tell us a bit about what the Commission might be thinking about in terms of next steps, and could any of those next steps address about some of the concerns that Emmanuel was just mentioning?
Okay, well, thank you very much. Well, when we say first steps, you know, the first work to be done is really at the level of the national authorities. I mean, the deal is national authorities will have better access to data. Better access to data, we hope, will translate in very proportionate rules everywhere.
We have to keep in mind that the issue is there. So if the social issue is there, we need to continue monitoring on how best we can address that. And we cannot just say, look, there are issues of competencies, and therefore we shouldn't touch this ground too much.
There is a possibility for the Commission to issue secondary legislation to ensure that. We hope the Commission will use it. Even more, to be honest, at our level, we would have hoped for an EU-wide registration scheme, so this central infrastructure being directly managed by the European Commission. And if it's something that member states are ready to consider, also maybe to alleviate the burden on them, we will see that very positively. Once again, at a very technical level, to be sure that you have one data standard used by everyone, and that there is no issue for the pipe of all platforms to be connected with these 27 pipes, basically.
Actually, I'm thinking now, I'm with the short-term rental players working for them for 8 years, and I think this is the first time in history that all the parties more or less are happy with what the Commission proposed, right? Everybody, of course, has their own buts, and we will provide our own, but this is the first time in history, right? Which is good, on one hand. So, Amaryllis, regarding the time-wise, how do you think how fast this proposal for regulation will move in the Council? What's your take on this?
Always difficult to predict.
Yeah, well, look, I'm only the Commission, right? So now the ball is really in the camp of the Parliament and the Council. So you would actually need to ask this question to the presidencies, the Swedish presidency coming up right now, the Czechs, etc. Let me just tell you that, indeed, as you say, the first reception of the proposal is very positive. Also within the member states. That's been confirmed also by the Portuguese delegate here who was with me in the tourism forum, and there also we had a discussion with the directors. So first positive statements means that a proposal could move really quickly.